Welcome to my kitchen. I am Bee from Thermitucker, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today's recipe, wow, you are going to be surprised by this little number. It is gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and a great addition to your repertoire if you'd love to try a new recipe from a brand new collection on Cookidoo. So have a look for the Magnolia kitchen brownies, and that is the recipe we'll be making today. What I will be doing before I start off actually is preparing two ingredients before we get started. So I love to do this before cooking anything, mixing anything, is having a look at the recipe and seeing if there's an ingredient that needs processing with a clean bowl. And that's exactly what it has in this recipe. So there's two items. The first thing I'm going to do is add in some sugar. So I'm going to be creating some icing sugar. So I'm just going to start the recipe so that it will then bookmark by touching the top left little house button. That will take me to my driving screen, my main screen. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of icing sugar, or I should say sugar. So this is the raw sugar, and then I can create my own icing sugar. So how that works is we just put that straight in a clean bowl. It must be dry, otherwise the sugar will clump and it won't become like icing sugar. So just touch the speed dial and spin this up to speed 10. So that's 10 seconds. That's basically your sugar made into icing sugar. So I had raw sugar. You can use any sugar that you have. And just excuse the cloud. There we go. That is the result. So what that means is instead of having to wash and clean my bowl once after I've created the muffin mixture, or the brownie mixture I should say, that means that I'm eliminating that washing cycle. And I love being able to give you a couple of hints and tips on how to save some time as well as effort. So if this can help you even just slightly, that will be a good thing, I reckon. So put this aside because this will be something that will be added at the end. I just want to get out the rest of this because I am going to do the next ingredient, which is chocolate. So put this aside. Now, the ingredient I'm going to process is the chocolate that's going to be added into the brownie. It's asking for roughly chopped chocolate. So I don't want to have to actually get out a knife or do anything. I want my machine to be able to do the work. So I've put in the request for what the ingredient was I think 150 grams worth of the chocolate and a little bit extra to sprinkle on top. So I'm going to keep it on the home button. Just put that in. I just want to wipe up my countertop. There's a little bit of sugar there. And then what you want to do is make sure, like I said, it's a rough chop. We don't want to go crazy with it, which means it's already in calettes or calettes, however you say it. So it's already small. I'm just literally wanting a quick blitz. So I could use my dial, my normal driving screen, or I can flick on over to where the turbo button is, and then I can select one. It's already pre-selected. 1 second, touch on the turbo, and it's done. So go back to the little bookmark, and then we can start the process of doing the recipe, which basically calls for a preheated oven of 160 degrees Celsius. So that will be gotten ready ahead of time. So while you're prepping things, by the way, this is the chocolate, see, a rough chop. I'm going to then put that aside so that we can use that later on in the recipe. So once you've preheated the oven, we're going to start the recipe. So just push on your next button. And the first thing it asks you is to prepare a square or rectangle tray slice. and it does give you a recommendation there of 18 centimeters. So pop that in, prep it. I love to put some greaseproof paper on, especially with brownies, so it's easier to lift out, and give it a little light spray with some coconut oil or whatever you have. So the next ingredient we're going to start to process is, it calls for 60 grams of blanched almonds, but I just keep the skins on. That's no problem at all. So pour that in, and we're going to process this. So making a meal, an almond meal. So 5 seconds, speed 8. So that's milled up my almonds, and what we'll do is put that aside so we can add it later on. So as again, it's the same thing, prepping your ingredients so that you've got a clean bowl and you'll be able, you don't have to keep washing. So there's the almonds, those are chopped. They're not, it's actually not a meal, it's just the chopped almonds. So we'll put that aside. And then the next part of the recipe is to add in 1 canned tin of chickpeas. So what I have done ahead of time is I've gone ahead and washed those, drained them. And just a great little tip for you is you can actually keep the liquid that the chickpeas are stored in your tin. And this is called aquafaba, and is a wonderful extra ingredient that you can type in Cookidoo aquafaba, and you will be able to find a couple of recipes. A very, very popular one is to be able to make your own egg-free meringues. So I know this sounds really strange for those of you that are not used to having egg-free options, but this is a great little ingredient. Don't throw it down the sink. It is a really versatile thing to be able to use. So keep that, even if it's a day or two in your fridge, and you can make yourself some meringues or whatever you can find on Cookidoo, including aquafaba. So there we go. Pop that aside. Now, just put your chickpeas straight into the bowl once they are drained, and then it says roughly 250 grams. That little tin was 230, but that's okay. Then we're going to add in some coconut milk. Now, once again, it's only 125 grams, so whatever your leftover is, please make sure that you pop this either in a curry or another recipe. But a really great idea is actually to use this in the ice cubes. Just pour that in there and leave it in the freezer for when it's ready to be used in another recipe. So I'm going to put this in 125 grams. There we go. And then the next thing we'll do is mix this up. So 20 seconds, speed number 8. And then we're going to scrape that down and repeat the process for 40 seconds. Because you want to make sure, I'll actually show you, this is what the mixture looks like. So you want to make sure that your chickpeas are processed really well. I know it is a sweet dessert and not usually an ingredient that you will see inside a sweet dessert, your chickpeas. So you do want to make sure that you have them processed really well, and make sure that you scrape down those edges. Put that right in, and we'll do that again for 40 seconds, and that will be for speed number 4. So repeat that again, but speed 4. All right. There's a couple of more extra ingredients we're going to add in. Sweetness, some gluten-free flour, some cocoa, vanilla extract, all the normal traditional things that you have in your brownies. The only difference with this particular one is it's gluten-free, it doesn't have eggs, and it doesn't have milk. So It's such a good recipe, and I hope you guys will give this a try. It is something different, but no harm in giving it a go. You might be surprised at what you actually taste, because I know Magnolia's Kitchen is really a popular New Zealand blogger and a baker. So definitely something to give a try, guys. Let me know what you think of it. All right, so I'm just going to show you. I'll actually show you this end result. There we go. That's what it looks like. So it has just asked to scrape down the edges, make it go back down towards your base where your blades are. And then we're going to add in the next ingredient, which is 125 grams worth of dairy-free butter. So something like Nuttelex, we're going to add in there. All right. Next, by the way, if you don't have Nuttelex, you can use butter, so don't worry. But only if that is the person who's going to eat it is able to have that. So, all right, the next ingredient is your vanilla bean extract or your paste. It says a teaspoon, but I'm going to eyeball it. Next ingredient, it calls for 200 grams of soft brown sugar. But many of you will know I just use raw sugar, so I'm going to be using this 200 grams. So it is very sweet. Remember, you've got the sugar and the chocolate. So if you wanted to cut back slightly with this, I'm sure you could. But today I'm not going to do that because I am cooking this for a little lady that loves her gluten-free options. So I will be keeping it lovely and sweet. All right, now, next thing is to mix that up for 10 seconds on speed 4. So that will just maneuver that around. Don't you love, you don't have to do any beating with the old wooden spoon? I do, I love it. All right, next thing, scrape that down and do it again for 10 seconds. And then we're going to add some extras. Now, the reason there is that little element of extra stop, start with the scrape down is because your ingredients will land up flicking up onto the side. So we want to make sure they're back down and then we process that again. All right. So the next thing we're going to add in there is some cocoa. So it says Dutch cocoa powder. I just have my organic one, my organic version, 60 grams worth. So pour that in, and you know that it's going to be good when it's a lot of chocolate and sweetness. So I just want to make sure, there you go. You can tell we love our chocolate in this family. Massive bag of cocoa. All right, 60. All right, perfect. Next ingredient is half a teaspoon of your baking powder. Pop that in. Next ingredient is your GF flour. So you can actually make your own version from Cookidoo. So if you're looking for an option that's not a store-bought version, you can absolutely make your own. So 100 grams worth. And then next, we're going to add in that the milled almonds. So the ones we processed right at the beginning. And then what we're going to do is mix this around for 10 seconds, speed number 4. And I think we do that again. It does actually say at the bottom, if you need to, you can keep processing it longer if you need to have it stirred through and combined. And I'm just going to have a look at this because then it says add in the chocolate, 150 grams. So let me show you. You can see there is a little bit of extras at the top. What I'm going to do is just scrape that down towards the base again. Oh, it smells so good. Wow. And I'm just going to go back one more step and I'm going to process that again. So another 10 seconds. What you can do is just check from the top. It's nearly there. I'm happy with that. I don't mind if there's a little bit of extras. And then I'll weigh in the chocolate. It calls for 150 grams. So I'll just show you this so you can see. I might just use my spatula and do one little twirl and then add in that chocolate. All right, so 150. Oh, there we go. And I'm just going to leave this little small amount for the top. All right, so it does say mix with spatula until combined, but I'm going to cheat and do that same step again. So I'm just going to go to the home button and I'm going to do that 10 seconds, speed number 4. So see if I need a little bit extra time. So I'm counting up. All right, I've done 13 seconds. I'm gonna go back to that little bookmark again, and I might just stir it through with my spatula. I'll show you. There we go. So I haven't had to do the bulk of it, the machine's done that. So basically what it's asking you to do is add this into your prepared square, your container, your baking tray, and sprinkle this with extra chocolate. So I just want to pull this out. It's actually quite a lovely firm mixture, and obviously that is from the chickpeas. Great texture. Now what I will do is explain what the process is. So make sure that you distribute the brownie mixture into all the corners of your tray. And then what you need to do is make sure that you preheated your oven to 160 degrees, and then we're going to put this in. So before I do anything, I'm just going to show you a lovely trick. You can see there's some mixture on there. What I want to do is just touch my home button and bring up that driver's screen, as I call it, and then just spin it to speed 10. Literally for a couple of seconds, and that mixture will flick on over onto the sides of your bowl, and that's what it looks like. So the reason I love that little tip is because it means you don't waste any of the mixture, unless of course you have a little person in the house that loves to have what's inside the bowl, and that is allowed, but that's quite a bit of mixture. So you can obviously take out those little blades and let little fingers enjoy that. So let's just move along and finish this up then. As I said, spread it out into your tray. What you want to do then is, by the way, if you want to make things a little bit easier for yourself, you can spray your grease-proof paper, and that will make sure that you will be able to take out the brownies a lot easier at the end. All right, so just put that in. Now, I'll just explain also what you need to do once it has finished baking and what you need to look for as well. I just want to finish off this portion over here, and then I can just run through the rest of the recipe for you. So going back to the little bookmark, it basically says to sprinkle with your whatever chocolate you have left over. I just had a couple, literally about 5 grams worth. What you will do at the end, only once it has cooled down, is actually use that icing sugar, because if you have to put it on while it is warm, it's going to melt. So wait until it's completely cooled. But I'll explain exactly what you need to do. Bake that for 45 minutes in 160 degrees Celsius, or until you want to make sure that your edges are firm and the soft the middle portion is soft. Obviously there's always that difference between the edges and the middle of your brownies. So what you want to do then is remove your brownie and the tray, place that on a cooling rack, and do that for about 10 minutes. Let it cool, and then what you want to do is lift out using the baking paper like that straight onto your cooling rack and let it cool completely, if you can wait that long. And then, like I say, just dust that off. Dust that with your sugar, your icing sugar that you have pre-done. So that is today's wonderful little recipe. Let me know if you have tried this recipe. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends that love chocolate and love brownies. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you again in my kitchen. I'm Belinda from Thermomix, or B as everybody calls me. Take care.